Today, we'll be discussing residual risk, which is the risk left after we have formulated a risk management plan. We'll need to also explain some terms. Firstly, inherent risk is the natural risk level you have in the absence of any existing controls or risk treatment. This is effectively the risk level we begin with before we start any risk management practices. When we consider an organisation's existing controls that they have available or in place already, which is where some risk management has been implemented, the risk left behind are referred to as retained risk. Now, going back to earlier videos, you'll remember we had considered the risk events in the environment that exists, and we called that the context, which consequently may have already had some controls in place, being the retained risk of the operating environment. And we then determined the likelihood and consequence rating and came out with the risk factor for which we applied the risk treatment strategies and created a risk management plan. Now, if you consider those risk treatments were now in place, the risks we are left with are called residual risks. The term residual risk is the threat that remains after all efforts to treat the risks have been made. Now, to test the effectiveness of treatment strategies we are proposing, some organisations do an additional analysis of the new post-treatment likelihood and consequence to determine the ultimate risk rating, being the residual risk level that was left behind. If the risk factor rating is the same as the prior to deploying the treatment strategies, it would suggest that the risk treatments proposed may not be appropriate enough. However, if the risk factor rating had decreased, then we have a higher confidence that the proposed risk treatments are correct. Now, in summary, we start with inherent risks, and after we have treated those high and extreme risks, we are still left with the residual risk. We are effectively recognising that a level of risk will still be present no matter what we do. This is often why we still carry insurance.